The elevator jerked, groaned like an injured animal, and stopped between floors just as Michael Carter felt his phone vibrate with another missed call from the daycare. In that frozen second, fluorescent lights flickering above his head, he understood how easily a normal day could collapse into panic, shame, and quiet fear all at once. Sweat gathered at his collar, his briefcase slipped from his grip, and the reality hit him hard. He was stuck in a steel box, late again, with the one person at work he tried hardest never to disappoint, his boss. Before the story truly pulls you in, take a second. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, in quiet moments that change lives, please like this video, comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Michael had never imagined his life turning out this way. Once he had been a promising graduate with plans that stretched far beyond the gray cubicles of a corporate office in downtown Chicago. But life had a way of rearranging dreams without asking permission. When his wife passed away unexpectedly 3 years earlier, the world did not pause for him to grieve. Bills arrived, responsibilities multiplied, and a tiny boy named Joshua became the center of his universe. Michael learned how to braid cereal boxes into lunches, how to calm nightmares at 2 in the morning, and how to smile through exhaustion at a job where personal struggles were invisible liabilities. Every morning felt like a race he was already losing, and every evening ended with guilt for something he had forgotten or failed to do. His boss, Rebecca Lawson, represented everything Michael believed he was not anymore. She was composed, respected, and impossibly calm under pressure. She walked through the office with a confidence that seemed earned through discipline and clarity, two things Michael felt had slipped from his grasp since becoming a single father. He admired her from a professional distance, but also feared her disappointment more than he cared to admit. She had never been cruel, never raised her voice, yet her silence after his latest missed deadline had weighed heavily on him all week. Being trapped in an elevator with her felt like fate sharpening a blade. The elevator's air grew stale as minutes passed. Emergency lights hummed softly, casting shadows that made the confined space feel even smaller. Michael's thoughts spiraled toward Joshua waiting alone, the daycare worker's patience thinning, the familiar look of pity he hated receiving. His phone had no signal. The feeling of being trapped was not new to him. It had followed him since the day he stood in a hospital hallway holding paperwork that said he was suddenly alone in the world. The elevator was just a physical reminder of an emotional reality he lived with every day. Rebecca stood nearby, her posture composed despite the situation. To Michael's surprise, she did not appear irritated or impatient. Instead, she seemed thoughtful, almost burdened by something invisible. In the silence, Michael felt exposed, as if all his hidden failures were written on the walls. He wondered if she knew about his constant balancing act, about the nights he stayed up finishing reports after Joshua fell asleep, about the mornings he chose his son over meetings and hoped no one noticed. He had never explained himself, believing that excuses only made him look weaker. Time stretched on, and with it came an unexpected shift. Rebecca's professional mask softened, replaced by something more human. She moved slightly closer, lowering her voice in a way that felt intentional and careful. What she shared was not loud enough for the humming machinery to compete with, and yet it landed with the weight of a confession. She spoke of seeing him struggle, of recognizing the signs because she herself had once stood where he stood now. She revealed that years ago she had raised her younger brother, after their parents' sudden death, juggling responsibility long before she was ready. Her success, she admitted, had been built on survival, not ease. That quiet moment cracked something open inside Michael. For the first time since his wife's death, he felt seen without judgment. The fear he carried, that his brokenness disqualified him from respect, began to loosen its grip. The elevator no longer felt like a trap, but like a pause the universe had forced upon them both. Rebecca's words were not promises or reassurances wrapped in corporate language. They were honest, raw, and offered without expectation. She made it clear that strength did not mean never struggling, it meant continuing despite it. As they waited for help, Michael found himself reflecting on how much he had underestimated compassion. He had assumed authority meant distance, that bosses were immune to personal pain. Yet here stood a woman who had climbed to the top while carrying her own scars, choosing empathy instead of indifference. The challenge Michael faced was no longer just about deadlines or daycare pickups. It was about allowing himself grace. He realized how tightly he had been gripping guilt, punishing himself for not being enough in every role he played. When the elevator finally shuddered back to life and doors opened to a small crowd of concerned faces, something inside Michael had already changed. The world outside was the same, emails waiting, responsibilities calling, but his perspective had shifted. Rebecca stepped out first, giving him a look that carried quiet encouragement rather than authority. No announcements were made, no dramatic gestures followed, but the impact lingered. In the days that followed, subtle changes unfolded. Michael noticed flexibility where there had once been rigidity. His workload was adjusted, not out of pity but understanding. He found the courage to speak up when he needed help, and to accept it without shame. Rebecca, for her part, continued to lead with firmness balanced by humanity, setting a tone that rippled through the office. Other employees began sharing their stories too, and the workplace transformed into something warmer, more forgiving. At home, Joshua sensed the difference. Michael laughed more, listened better, and carried less weight in his eyes. Evenings no longer felt like battles against time but moments to be cherished. The elevator incident became a quiet milestone, a reminder that life's most meaningful shifts often happen in confined spaces when escape is impossible. Being trapped had forced honesty, and honesty had opened the door to healing. As this story draws close, if it touched your heart even a little, if it reminded you that kindness can appear in unexpected places, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps these stories reach hearts that are still waiting for hope. Before the final moment, we have one special request. Please comment below and tell us what part of this story moved you the most, or share a time when a small act of understanding changed your life. Michael never forgot that day in the elevator. It taught him that being a single dad did not make him weak, that vulnerability could coexist with strength, and that sometimes the quietest words spoken in the darkest moments could light the way forward. In a world that often rushes past pain, two people stood still long enough to see each other, and that made all the difference.